Okay, before we can solve an equation that's got brackets, we have to use the distributive law. And for example, if we have A times, because next to is times, B plus C, which is in brackets, then we distribute A times B plus A times C. And this is something I've noticed that we often mistake when we work this out. We end up with 3x, we keep the plus, but then we just put the 4 again, and that's incorrect. You have to apply that number or pronumeral to the second term or number or pronumeral as well. So it's 3 times 4, and that makes it 12. Same thing if it were minus, you would multiply because these two are multiplied. They're next to each other. A times B in bracket minus A times C in bracket gets distributed in this way. So for a real life example, that would end up being 4B minus, so 4 times B and 4 times 2, which is 8. You can collect like terms. You need to collect like terms. So 5x and plus 10 plus 7x, you can add together these terms to give you 12x plus 10. So we can combine terms that are exactly the same. If it was 12xy, you couldn't do this, but if it's just x or just the same pronumeral, you can do it. Equations involving brackets can be solved by first expanding the brackets. That's the first thing you do, and then collect like terms. So let's have a go at it. 3 times p plus 4 is distributed as 3p plus, what's 3 times 4? 12, and that's equal to 18. Then we want to use what we know to subtract the same amount from both sides. That will still give us an equivalent equation, but it will leave us with just 3p on one side. 18 minus 12 is 6. And then how do we get to 1p? We divide by the number in front of the pronumeral, and that gives us p. We don't have to write the 1. And divide that by the same number on the other side, and that gives us that p equals 2. Going well so far. So now let's look at b. We've got a negative here, and times, remember this is positive. So when you get a negative and positive together, you get a negative result. So first, negative 12 times 3q, positive and a negative gives you negative 36q there. And we're going to add that to negative 12 times 5, which is going to be negative 60 because, I haven't lined up my equal signs very well, have I? Because that's a positive and a negative being put together. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to get rid of that 60, negative 60, by adding 60 to both sides. I'm going to add 60, so that leaves me with negative 36q. Apologies again, my equal signs don't line up. And that leaves us with negative 72, because we've added 60 onto that negative number. And then we're going to divide. This is great. I don't want to be in negative land. I want to be in positive land. So if I divide that by negative 36, the number that's there, and divide this by negative 36, divide by negative 36, then that is going to leave me with a positive number. Positive q equals, that is 2, isn't it? Yes, q equals 2. You could also, yeah, you would do negative 36 because that's what the number is before the pronumeral. Looking here, okay, we've got some like terms we're looking out for. So we're going to start with the distributive law. Remember, 4 or any pronumeral next to a bracket means multiply by each of them. 4 times 2x is going to give us 8x. See if I can line up my equal signs better this time. Minus 4 times 5, which gives me 20, plus 3x equals 57. Now, before I go any further, I can put these terms together, and they can add up to a whopping 11x. They said 11x minus 20 equals 57. So then what am I going to do? I'm going to get rid of that 20 by adding that 20 to both sides. If I've got minus 20 and I add 20, I get rid of that 20, and I'm stuck with 11x equals, adding 20 gives me 77. Oh, well, that's obvious, isn't it? Oh, that worked out. Oh, geez. Divide that by 11 gives me x, and divide that by 11, and I get 7. There's my answer. Again, over here, for D, we've got 2 times 3k, which gives us 2 times 3 is what? 6k, plus 2 times 1 is 2, equals, oh, remember 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 2k is 10k, minus 5 times 6 is 30. Now, I've got pronumerals on either side of my equation, so I want to deal with that. 10k is larger than 6k, so let's subtract 6k from both sides. And that will give me 2 on one side of the equation equals 10k minus 6k is 4k. And we can't do anything about 30 just yet. as far as the k's are concerned. Now we can, if it's minus 30 and I add 30 to both sides, I've still got equivalent equations, but I've got now 4k on one side and what is it, 32 on this side. And then I want to get 1k, so I divide by 4, and that'll give me k, doesn't matter which side it's on, and I divide by 4 over here, and I get 8 equals k. Have fun.